Good morning. Welcome to this place of peace, justice, and hope. In this Unitarian Universalist congregation, we affirm no matter who you are, who you love, or where you are on your journey, you are welcome here. For those of you joining us online, we are so glad you're with us. If you are visiting with us today, we invite you to sign our visitor's book. And if you'd like to join us for coffee hour downstairs, feel free to take a green mug so that we can be sure to greet you. If you don't feel comfortable taking a green mug because you're more of an introvert, that's okay too. Whatever you like. Also, members and friends, to help folks connect, remember to wear your name tags with your pronoun stickers. If you need a new name tag, check in at the living room visitor's desk. And that's also where you would go to sign the visitor's book. So the living room is what we call the area right back there that looks like a living room, and that's where our visitor's table is as well. I am Paula. My pronouns are she and her. I'm pleased that you are joining us today. Our music today will be provided by Jamie Passman and the Celebration Singers, directed by Julia Beckman. We'd like to thank you for placing your phone in worship mode, but please do feel free to check in on social media and let folks know you're worshiping here today. Childcare for children under the age of 5 is available in our playroom, located in the lower level of the RE building across the alley. Youngsters are welcome to join the playgroup when the older children are sung out to RE, but please know that all ages may remain in the service. All voices are welcome here. There's always a lot going on around the church, and you can read all about it in News and Notes when it arrives in your inbox every Friday. And there are printed copies available downstairs. If you would like to receive News and Notes, stop by the welcome table in the living room at the back of the church. All right. Our next, the opening hymn.
Thank you. Yeah, it's unusual for us not to have announcements, isn't it? Because there's so much going on. But know that you can catch up on what's happening when we visit in the social hall. I want to just welcome you as well. I'm the Reverend Dr. Beth Johnson. My pronouns are she and they. And before we begin this celebration of Imbolc, for the Celtic Wheel of the Year. You're going to hear all about that. I want to just take a moment, because I can't let it go, and acknowledge the beautiful arrangement we have of branches and carnations, and that Charlie Fisher, who takes care of our buildings and grounds with such dedication and love and aesthetics. Of course, he's a landscape architect, for those of you who don't know or need one. But what a perfect, beautiful representation for today, Charlie. Thank you so much. And I just wanted to, thank you. So welcome, everyone. I would like to invite you to go ahead and rise and body your spirit as we sing our opening song. Here we have gathered. I love to watch us gather. I love how when I first come in, getting ready for the service, the choir is rehearsing. It's quiet. There's things to prepare. And then in my head, I'm always like, will they come? Will they come? It's sunny, will they come? It's raining, will they come? It's really cold, will they come? But you do. We do. Because we know that in being together, we are seen and known, and we sing our heart's own song. It's good to be with you. Call us into worship this morning with words by Reverend Gretchen Haley. Open the door of your hesitant heart. Let the light shine on all the sleeping shadows. Awaken to this day that offers itself to you and to all with a great extravagance. Awaken to this day that offers itself to you and to all with great extravagance. Awaken to this gift, the beauty, this chance that we might begin again and anew, that we might be changed by the in and the out of the breath. The in and the out of the breath. That we might burst forth like the crocuses, that we might still surprise this earth with a new song, sung together, calling us all in, and then sending us back out, and know it all as a blessing. Come, let us worship. It is good to be together.
We light our chalice, the symbol of our church and denomination, with these words. May we be reminded here of our highest aspirations and inspired to bring our gifts of love and service to the altar of humanity. May we know once again that we are not isolated beings, but connected in mystery and miracle to the universe, to this community, and to each other.
Okay, it's time for the
Good morning. So instead of a storybook today, I have just a story. So this is a time where you might have to close your eyes and use your imagination. There are a few pictures, but not a ton. So I'd like to invite the young and young at heart, if you want to come closer. You can. If you want to stay in your seats, you can. Yes. All right, so our story is a special one for today. So circle around and I'll tell you this story.
That picture is a picture of Bridget's well, by the way.
Okay. Should I share that?
You can.
Okay. So this story is about a girl named Bridget and her brother Alex. And it's a story for Imbolc. And the picture on the screen is a picture of her well, which you're going to find out about in the story. Once there were two children, a sister and a brother named Bridget and Alex, who lived in a land where winter brought deep snows and much cold. We know about that, don't we? The children loved to play in the snow, to make huge snowmen and dig tunnels in the high banks and have snowball fights. But every year, they waited eagerly for Bridget's holiday to come around, for they knew it meant that the days would be getting longer and that someday spring would come again. We're kind of waiting for that, right? One year, winter was especially harsh. Day after day, clouds filled the sky and the snow piled up on the streets. Night after night, a cold wind howled around the corners of the houses and blew smoke back down the chimneys. Bridget and Alex grew very tired of staying in the house, for on many days the air was too cold to play outside for very long, even when they wore their warmest jackets and wool sweaters underneath their snow pants, over their jeans, and an extra pair of wool socks in their boots, and all the hoods and scarves and mufflers they could put on. When they did go outside, they were so bundled up that all they could do was waddle like penguins. And they were very tired of making snowmen and snow forts and snowballs. "How long will winter last?" they asked their mother. "Only the goddess knows," their mother said. "Well, we need to ask her. Where can we find her?" The mother smiled. "Light a candle, Bridget Eve, look into the flame with an open heart and wait. Who knows? Maybe she'll come to you. After all, you are named after her." So on Bridget Eve, the two children lit a candle with their mother's help, placed it on the table, and looked deep into the flame. And after a while, the flame seemed to grow and grow and grow until it filled the whole room with a gorgeous light, and a beautiful woman appeared. Her hair was bright as living fire, her face dark as old wood, her cloak golden as a sunbeam. "I am Bridget of the holy well and sacred flame," she said. "Why have you called me, my children?" "Oh, Bridget, I am named after you," said the little girl. "We called to ask you a really important question." "How long will winter last?" asked Alex. Winter will last until clean water rises in the sacred well and bright flames burn in every hearth. Then, as quickly as she appeared, she disappeared. "What does she mean?" the two children asked. They went to their mother, but she could not say. And they asked their father, but he only winked and said, "That's the trouble with goddesses. It's hard to get a straight answer." So the kids went to bed unsatisfied. The next morning they woke up early and decided that they would go from house to house in their village and see whether or not a warm fire was burning. And they would ask everyone if they knew where to find the sacred well. So they did. They bundled up in their warmest jackets with wool sweaters underneath and snow pants and socks and mufflers and mittens until all they could do was So from house to house they went, all through the village. On every hearth a warm fire burned, and while people were kind to them and offered them good things to eat and warm things to drink, nobody knew about a sacred well. At last they had visited every house in the village. The only one left was the cottage of Old Man Madog, which lay across the frozen fields on the edge of the forest. Now, nobody liked this Old Man Madog. He was crusty and mean, and he didn't appear to bathe very often. And he was a stranger who had come from far away. When the children came near his cottage, he yelled at them and shook his big stick. And when all the other people in the village were working hard, Old Man Madog simply sat on his porch, rocking in his old chair and smoking his pipe. "Stay away from him," parents told their children. "He's a foreigner. He's lazy and he's dirty and he's probably dangerous." Oh, the children stayed away. But now, from the very edge of the village, Bridget and Alex could see that the roof of Old Man Madog's house, and there was no smoke coming from the chimney. Surely the goddess couldn't have meant that we were supposed to light a fire on his hearth, Alex said. I'm afraid of him. He'll probably yell at us and shake his stick, Bridget agreed. But still, I think we should go see if he has a fire. So they did. They waded through the deep snow that covered the field so thickly they seemed to be walking in a tunnel. At last, they came to Old Man Madog's house. The door was closed and there was no smoke coming out of the chimney. Maybe he's not home, said Bridget. Maybe we should just go. Let's look in the window first, Alex suggested. So they peered in the small glass window and saw Old Man Madog lying on his bed. There was no fire on his hearth. Maybe he's sick, Bridget said. We'd better go and see. The door was not locked, so they entered the room. It was cold as the air was outside, and dirtier than any room Bridget had ever seen. And Old Man Madog lay in his bed, moaning and shivering with fever. We've got to help him, Bridget said. She brought him a drink of water while Alex took an old blanket and covered the old man. They ran out in the forest and gathered fallen wood until they had a great big pile. Then they lit a fire on the hearth, and soon the entire room began to grow warm. They found some potatoes and carrots and onions in a bag and cooked up a nice hot soup. While it was simmering, they cleaned the house and swept the floor and washed the dishes. Finally, Old Man Madog was warm enough to sit up and drink some soup. Pesky children. I never did like children, but I suppose I ought to thank you. Well, that would be polite, said Bridget. But what we really want to know is whether you've heard of any holy well around here. Holy well, schmell, Old Man Madog said. I don't know anything about your holy wells. The only well I know is of the old fallen well in the woods, and it's full of garbage. Bridget and Alec looked at each other. Garbage? Well, that doesn't sound very holy. But still, it was the only well anyone had told them about the whole day. So we'd better go look for it, Alex said. We'll bring in some more wood before we go, and when we get home, we'll send our mother and father to take care of you. Don't do me any favors. But Bridget and Alex both felt like he really didn't mean it. Once again, they bundled up in their warmest jackets with wool sweaters underneath and snow pants over their jeans and an extra pair of socks in their boots and their hoods and their scarves and their mittens, and they went out into the deep forest waddling like... At last they came to a small clearing. In the center was a ring of stones, all tumbled down and scattered. They looked inside and saw nothing but a small puddle of frozen mud, all choked with stones and leaves and garbage. Could this be a holy well? Bridget asked. It doesn't look much like it, said Alex. But maybe if we clear it out a bit, we'll be able to see some water. So they began prying up the stones and pulling out big lumps of things which turned out to be cans and bottles and old rotten papers. Bridget took a big stick to clear away the fallen leaves. Alex took off his mittens and scooped out the mud, and soon clear water began to rise through the mud. I don't know what more we can do, said Alex. It's starting to get dark. I think we better come back tomorrow with a shovel. But at least we started, Bridget said. All of a sudden, a beautiful voice echoed in the forest. You've done well. They turned and they saw the beautiful woman, her hair bright as a flame, her face as dark as old wood. You've begun the work, she said, and that is all that anyone can do. Is this your holy well? Bridget asked the goddess. Yes, it is. A long time ago, the people of the village tended my well carefully, keeping it clean and dressing it with flowers. But now they have forgotten the way here, just as they have forgotten the law of kindness to strangers. Without the warmth of loving kindness, how can the days grow warm again? And when my clear springs are choked with dirt, how can the rains of spring fall? We'll remind them, Bridget promised. We'll bring everyone out here to finish cleaning up the well. And we'll make sure to keep a warm fire burning on Old Man Madog's hearth, even if sometimes he's grumpy. The goddess smiled. Good. You have lit my fire and cleaned my well. And now I will tell you a secret. Inside the heart of every person is a holy well full of the waters of love and joy and new ideas. This is the well you must keep clean, because it can be easily choked by hatred and greed and selfishness. And inside of you is also a fire you must tend and feed and keep burning, so that you grow to be strong and wise and brave. Will you do that? We'll do our best, they promised. And now spring will come. Spring will come, the goddess promised. Spring will come as soon as winter's over. And it did.
Before you go to your classes, if you would like to come up and take a little pebble that will remind you of kindness and Bridget's well, and so you can hold on to that and think about that fact that spring will come. You can take that over to your classrooms. And anyone else who's leaving can come and do that too. Come on and take one. Perfect.
Oh, no worries.
We gather each week to affirm our community, to affirm that together we are more than we could ever be alone, to affirm that we begin in love and embody belonging. We gather knowing that we will be seen, heard, and known, and offer that to all who would find companionship with us. And we gather with the intention to share that love and bring belonging to our world. We share our offering as a living out of our values and as the spiritual practice of stewardship. We say our offertory words together. This church is made up of all of us. It is what we learn together, the work we do together, the fun we have together. It is what we share with one another, with people around us, and with the world. We now gratefully receive your contribution. Thank you in advance for your generosity.
Thank you, Jamie. Beloveds, I invite you to just take a breath with me for a moment. We've sung songs and heard words about coming together and community. We've heard a story about possibility and waiting and kindness. And this is a time, it seems, of both pause and the sense that there is some forward movement. We're just going to take a breath and breathe. And this is a time when we can be still, breathe, when we can look up and see the stars and see that big orange thing in the sky Joe pointed out to me when I came here this morning, which is the sun, and to listen to the still small voice, and to listen to the beautiful voices we're about to hear. I invite you to take another breath with me. Being still. Listening to what it is within you that you've brought with you today. Each week, we pause to be still. Not necessarily to look up right now, but to look inward. This is a time in our service where we make space. We become a container. Bridget would say a cauldron, a place of richness, fullness, a place full of our joys and our sorrows, all that we bring with us. In a moment, I'll invite you up to share a joy or a sorrow. The way we do that is we have a pebble. Each one is unique, signifying the uniqueness that you each bring. But right now, I just invite you to take another breath or two and be. Just breathe. Just notice your breath as it goes in and out. You don't need to do anything special with it. Just connect in the stillness with what it is that is on your heart. And whether or not you get up and share or drop a pebble in silence, this is your time too. To be and to breathe and to hold what it is that you've brought with you, that's on your heart and in your body, and know no matter what, that you are held in this container, in this hope. We'll make a line this way. And I'm going to go ahead and begin and drop a pebble for Linda Impasado's nephew, Tim, who's been dealing with cancer and is now on hospice. Come on.
I'm Kathy. I am dropping a pebble this morning for my friend Janet, who was released from prison this week after 37 years incarcerated. Her first meal was at Cracker Barrel. She had chicken and dumplings. And now she's trying to figure out how to work her cell phone.
I am Deb, and I am here celebrating the wonderful support of this community. I had surgery a couple weeks ago, and I was showered with emails and phone calls and texts and cards, and I felt so lifted up, and it was so cheering. So thank you.
Good morning, I'm Jonathan. I'm pleased to report that Friday night, a number of us were at Theater of Western Springs. Our own Ashley Kennedy, who was here for a number of years and actually she and her husband Nate, led a number of services while they were here. Ashley appeared in a drama she's wanted to do her whole life. She starred as Pygmalion at the Theater of Western Springs, did an unbelievable performance. And by the way, I think there's one more this afternoon. So.
I was on Zoom last Sunday when Suzanne Williams announced that Helen Fields passed away. And I was shocked and very sad because Helen was a member of our church along with her husband. And Kathy Blanford and I went to Erickson Institute at different times. But there was a camaraderie there, I think. And Helen was the spark in everything she everything she was involved in. She wrote a pamphlet on relationships, especially the relationships between grandparents and their kids. And she awarded an award from Erickson Institute for all her work, and she was a member of this church.
Hi, I'm Leo. So I did see, we did went to go see a Pygmalion, and we did witness Eliza Doolittle as Ashley Kennedy. Speaking of Helen Fields, she was my neighbor. She lived across the street from me. And she was wonderful with kids. My two daughters went to visit her and her husband, Tom, when they were in the neighborhood, you know. As far as my mother, she turns 84 tomorrow. She's still in hospice, been in hospice for 4 months. And so I decided to research the heck out of cancer and decided that I'm gonna be proactive and take her to Northwestern to get a second opinion on her cancer.
I'm Carol, and I'm going to put a pebble in honor of my foster nephew, Ken Perlman, whom I helped raise when he was a young boy, and who has said many times that he got his values from me. A few years ago, he is a retired fireman, but a few years ago, he had a contact in Liberia, and he developed a program where fire departments across this country donated old fire trucks, and they sent them to Liberia, where they had no fire service. And he has just returned from being at the inauguration of a new president of Liberia, and I am so proud of him.
For those of you on Zoom, Jamie acknowledged the love and support and cards and calls for having been sick last week, but well enough to perform for his concert Friday night. For all those joys and sorrows, those spoken and unspoken, will you hold with me a moment of silent reflection? Spirit of life, Spirit of love, Holy One, moving in, through, and among us. In all that we've heard, we appreciate community, connection, lives that have been touched in small and large ways. We celebrate recovery, wellness, hope. We hold loss, uncertainty, and fear. And sometimes these reside right next to each other, are all jumbled up. We pause in this moment, holding all that we've heard, all that we held. Breathing in, spirit of life, spirit of love, breath of all life. You are as close as our breath. You are our breath. As we move from this space, from this time of connection, each time we breathe, may we remember who we are and whose we are. Belonging to love, belonging to community, belonging to you. And you, each of you, know this. You are always and everywhere held in love and mystery deeper than you can know. Amen. And blessed be. Thresholds. This is a threshold time. This is a time in the Celtic Wheel of the Year. We're going to hear more about it in more detail, but where we mark time. And these are always threshold times, even birthdays, anniversaries, job change, death, loss, even those things we celebrate as we anticipate them, they are threshold times. I invite you into this meditation on thresholds. Arlen Goff. Thresholds. We cross them every day, from room to room, from outside to inside, and back again, and here to there, from anywhere to everywhere, from age to age. Each threshold offers an opportunity for change, for renewal, for transformation, from what we were and what we are to what we can be. In this hour, in this place, we cross a threshold from our day-to-day everydayness, into space and time attuned to the other, to the sacred, to the holy, into an awareness of the new life, pregnant with possibilities. And that's what this time calls us into. A time as we are just beginning spring, and we know it'll come because the goddess said it would. It's a time to return again and again on this, what I call the soul's journey. The opportunity for us to live through the wheel of the year in a very intentional way so that as we travel that throughout our lives, we have resources. So this is a time to return again and again and again to the home of our soul. So I'm going to invite you to just remain seated, and we'll sing Return Again. We're going to return a lot because, the Spirit just wants you to return. So just follow us and follow Julia. You're clapping for your soul's return. I love it. I love it. So we have been on a soul's journey. Since October, we as a congregation have been cycling the spiraling year together by marking the holidays in the Celtic Wheel of the Year. I've mentioned before that a variety of people from different traditions live mindfully through the Wheel of the Year. Neo-pagans, mystics, Christians, philosophers, deep ecologists, eco-feminists, scientists embrace living consciously through the spiraling year, as doing so awakens and enlivens our connection to the earth, our home. It deepens the insights that come from experiencing and understanding the cycles and seasons of our own lives. Unitarian Universalists draw from multiple sources for wisdom and for truth. We've found our own diverse ways of celebrating and journeying through the Wheel of the Year. This congregation loves to celebrate the winter solstice. We celebrated this year not only in service, but then there was a beautiful ritual by the folks who provide those, led by Dave Lloyd. And honestly, I've been around to a lot of congregations, honestly with a lot of pagans, and this is the only congregation that I know that has a permanent hole for their maypole that will be dancing at Beltane. So you already know how to travel this wheel. Now, if you are visiting today or haven't been here for the other services, I'm happy that you're with us and joining us. You're welcome on this journey. We're all just kind of climbing on together. The road is wide and welcomes us all. This has been what I call the soul's journey. And while it's connected to the seasonal shifts, this is soul work. It's a psycho-spiritual journey that is inward and outward, embodied, enriching, joyful, challenging. It's a journey that we take either consciously or unconsciously. In our own lives, we have times of hope and possibility, spring times in our lives. They don't always happen at spring. We have times that are fallow, that are dark, where we go inward, whether or not it's winter or not. So traveling the Wheel of the Year consciously gives us insights that we can learn from into who we are and who we might become, and that can help us through all the seasons of our lives. Held in the cauldron of transformation, we first journeyed inward at the Celtic New Year called Samhain, October 31st. We entered the dark time toward our sacred hidden wisdom, to stillness, to contemplation. Do you all remember when we lost the light and dark increased? Remember how that feels in your body? Sometimes it's welcome. It's like, oh, it's time to rest. And sometimes it's like, oh, I'm so busy and I can't take it, I need light. At that time, you were invited to reflect on what it is that your soul yearned for, your inner wisdom. If you weren't here, then you can just take a moment, connect with your own inner wisdom. Your knower is what I call it, and it's actually here, your knower. The place in you that knows, but sometimes fails in its knowing. We journeyed there. As I said, just like we do at other times in our lives. We enter dark places and from there find nurturance and rest. And whenever you have need of it, that place of stillness calls you to come, to breathe, to be, to go in, to connect, to know what you need for your journey. 6 weeks later, we were at the winter solstice. Still steeped in darkness, nonetheless, we dared to claim that spark of light. A little tiny spark of light. We journeyed inward to discern what it was that we sought to give birth to with the new light. People got to choose inspiration words, little inspiration cards with little angels on them, with words to give insight into that area of your life that presents itself to be worked on. Now, I'm trusting that most people did not peek when you reached into the basket and picked out your word. Now, do you remember your word? Have you lost your word? Okay. Have you noticed any opportunities to engage with it? My word is transformation. Thank you very much, Spirit. For those of you who weren't here, can you think about what you seek to transform in your own lives? And I have cards for you that you're going to have a chance to pick up if you haven't gotten one or if you lost yours. So be still. Listen. Trust that you know what you need. Traveling the wheel of the year is not just about how the rest of nature renews itself, but how we do. Throughout the year, we'll continue to journey together on this, the soul's journey. It is at once a memory and a longing, a promise and a lure, and so it is, and so it is. But what is soul on this journey? I like the way that Thomas More, the therapist, psychospiritual depth psychologist, talks about it. Soul is not a thing, but a quality or a dimension of experiencing our life and ourselves. It has to do with depth and value, relatedness, heart, personal substance. And so this is the wheel of the year that we've been traveling. You can see that it starts, this one has its start at Imbolc. I don't know how well you can see it from here. From here, it's a little smaller. But this is the wheel that we've been traveling, and we're going to make it all the way through every 6 weeks until we come back to Samhain. Here and now, in this moment, within us, between us, we contain resources for that inner learning. Carl Jung wrote, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks inside dreams? Who looks outside dreams? Who looks inside awakes." Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. They who look outside dream. They who look inside awakens. And so it is. And so it is Imbolc. February is still dark and wintry, except for today. Even so, the sun is waxing, and the first signs of new life are beginning to appear. Those little branches that Charlie got, those are little buds, y'all. They're not little buds? Okay. No, but the little tiny ones on the, no, I didn't think that. No, I mean on the branch. They're little buds on the branch. So I was raised on the northwest side of Chicago, and I had a room on the top floor with my sister, and we had a maple tree that was outside our window. And I can remember in my body, and I think it was the first time I really felt myself connected to the rest of nature as a little girl. And it would be so cold, as you all know. And then the little buds would appear. Just those little buds. You know, and it would snow again. It would be weird. But those little buds, and that's what I hung on to. At Imbolc, it's a cross-quarter day. It's the beginning of the spring quarter. Like all festivals and holy days, again, this is the threshold time. This is the time when we make space for renewal, for rebirth, for hope, for growth, for planning, for new beginnings. Imbolc comes from the Gaelic phrase, "in the belly," referring to the abundance of pregnant ewes at that time of the year. It's also meant to wash, hinting at Imbolc's association with initiations, purification rituals, and spring cleaning. People would clean their houses at Hinsdale, sweep them clean. It's a time to release what no longer serves you, shedding what you need to leave behind, and making room for that new growth. It celebrates the strengthening light, that first sign of spring. It's a time to celebrate the passage of winter, but we best not forget the lessons and the wisdom that winter revealed to us. We don't let it go, we carry it in, and we integrate that into our journey. Hinsdale has been a spiritual beacon guiding us through the remnants of winter and into the spring. And Bridget is the goddess of the Hinsdale, the goddess of the hearth and healing and poetry. At this time of the year, people gathered and told stories. They tended a fire. And fire still remains that powerful symbol of this festival's enduring light and warmth. This is the time to go to the well, reaching into a pool that goes beyond ourselves. And one could say, we connect with the collective unconscious. You already heard that Imbolc is the time of Bridget, who is the Celtic goddess, as we mentioned. Now, Bridget, we've got a little delay here, so I'm learning to. Bridget is the triple aspect of the goddess, and this is called Bridget's Day. She's about creativity and healing, breathing life into the dead winter. Bridget's presence is often celebrated by displaying Bridget's cross, which I have there, woven with reeds. Sometimes we would gather in my group and we would make Bridget's cross or make corn dollies. Now, Bridget, the pre-Christian goddess, was converted to a saint by the Catholic Church, yet her cross remains. And there she is in this depiction, she with her red hair and she with her garments. Now, I am thrilled, just inordinately happy, that Bridget's Day is a national holiday, or what they call a bank holiday, in Ireland. All hail Bridget. And so we deepen into this time. And we recognize that although the form has changed, the intention of healing and of hope is always there, is always with us, and always available to us. This is a time of awakening, of seeds stirring in the ground. Here's what the poet David White reminds us, what to remember when waking. In that first hardly noticed moment in which you wake, coming back to this life from the other, more secret, movable, frighteningly honest world where everything began, there is a small opening into the new day, which closes the moment you begin to make your plans. What you can plan for is too small for you to live. What you can live wholeheartedly will make plans enough for the vitality hidden in your sleep. To be human is to become visible while carrying what is hidden as a gift to others. To remember the other world and this world is to live in your true inheritance. You are not a troubled guest on this earth. You are not an accident amidst accidents. You were invited from another and greater night than the one from which you have just emerged. Now, looking through the slanting light of the morning window toward the mountain presence of everything that can be, what urgency calls you to live your one love? What urgency calls you to live your one love? What shape waits in the seed of you to grow and spread its branches against a future sky? Is it waiting in the fertile sea? in the trees beyond the house, in the life you can imagine for yourself, in the open and lovely white page on the writing desk. Beloved, what is awakening in you? Again, this time of Imbolc is a time of initiations. In some traditions, this is a time when people are initiated, joining into their group in a ritual. And so it is at Imbolc each year, I nod to my own initiation 32 years ago in a spiritual path that would nurture me for years. And I acknowledge the anniversary of one of my most profound initiatory experiences. 28 years ago on Friday, I stood on a beach in Newport Beach Jetty in Orange County, California. I was 2 weeks out from starting my first round of chemotherapy, and my beloved Kitty the Rocket Man was just passing. I stood on the shore with my dearest best friend, Bob, who had just the week before held the 12-inch braid of my very red hair and said, "This is from a different time." True words. I peered toward the horizon, seeing if I might be able to glimpse what was to come. My body vibrated with fear and uncertainty. Standing in the sacredness of that day, I took in the ocean, and I stabilized myself on the sand beneath my feet, and I stood there breathing deeply and felt the strength of my connection to the earth. What would the future bring? How would this journey unfold? Breathing in, I grabbed 2 fistfuls of hair and tossed them into the ocean, an offering. I closed my eyes for a moment, and I opened them just in time to see dolphins swimming near the shore. Dolphins move in 2 worlds, at home in the water and breathing air. I too, as some of you, have moved into between the worlds for months to come. But I would not be alone, and I would never be the same. I didn't need cancer. I didn't need to make me more grateful or glad to be alive or to count my blessings. I'd been doing that for a long time. I don't think everything happens for a reason. But in my journey to the depths, I swam in the amazing grace and incredible love. And y'all, I did not know that the sky could be bluer or birds sound sweeter. These 28 years have flown by. I've had a beautiful life full of meaning and love and outrageous joy. What initiation are you welcoming or resisting? What new venture, life phase, challenge, or opportunity is stirring in you? Breathe. In this threshold work, we ask, what is it that we are leaving behind, and what is it that we wish to birth? What is the awakening, the adventure that your soul senses in your own life, in the world? This is the threshold time for us, for Earth, for our world. In a moment, I'm going to invite you up to choose a pebble like we gave to the children, or to choose your word. Promise me if you haven't gotten it before. But I invite you to take a breath. And relax. Take your time, feel all the varieties of presence within you and around you. Listen inward with complete attention as you hear an inner voice calling you forward. The time has come to cross. We're invited to connect with Bridget's symbols. And if you would like, I invite you to come forward and take a pebble. And if you can't, I will make sure that you get one. Breathe. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. I invite you to hold your stone, your pebble. And as you hold it, You can either set an intention or let an intention come forth for you. As we travel the wheel of the year, I invite you, if you're so inclined, to make an altar. It could just, don't let it scare you. It doesn't have to look like this. It can be a bookshelf. It could be a place where you maybe put your word and your stone, and you light a candle, or you just recognize it's a place to focus. And so when you are in need of the awakening, the spring, the beginning spring, the hope of spring, this can be your reminder. As the goddess said, it will come, and you are not alone. I don't think I could love you anymore than I do right now. So as we move from this space, as we imagine possibilities for ourselves, our congregation, and for our world, remember that this soul's journey is both inward, and you are not alone in it. Let us nurture the spirit of renewal and embrace the light of the lengthening days. Do you want to say that with me? Let us nurture the spirit of renewal and embrace the light of the lengthening days. And now join me in our chalice extinguishing words. We have a little delay here, so they will come. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of this community, nor the fire of our commitment. These we carry in our hearts and share with all the world. And it occurred to me, as the delays are happening in the slides, what a lesson for this day, right? Like let's have it advance more quickly. No, it's gonna pause today. The slide's gonna advance in its own time. And that just gave me, y'all, I just figured it out at the end of the service, the opportunity to practice what I preach. So now I invite you to rise, embody your spirit, and sing together. May your life be as a song. It's number 1059. We'll sing it a few times.